Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I tried not to confuse you. Last week when Anthony hit you up with a couple of good mornings in a row, throw that good morning back at him. Great job. Welcome, everyone, all of our regular attendees and any visitors that are here with us today. I think today we can probably unofficially call Service Sunday in regards to what the worship service is and about the Puerto Rico trip and our service to the community yesterday and the service that our unsung tech team provides that have lots of things that they're encountering and struggling with probably right now, so we'll be praying for them. I want to make a couple of announcements quickly before we focus on the flow of the service from a spiritual perspective. Draw your attention to the bulletin insert. Stacy asked if I would mention that, look, this Sunday school thing is starting a new quarter September 4th. It's not something that you need to sign up for or feel that if you come the first Sunday, you're compelled to show up every Sunday. But please join us for Sunday school. A lot of interesting things coming up in the next quarter. Also, as a follow-up from yesterday, there are bouquets of zinnias left over from the country fair. They're on the shelf in the foyer. Help yourself to them, but please leave behind the jars and vases. And also, there's food in the fellowship room that is available on a donation basis. I believe there's a container there for any donations. Also, Pastor Dave asked if I would share the details for Lonnie's funeral. It will be at the Arena White Beaufort Funeral Home, 113 High Street in Pottstown, Tuesday morning at 9:30. The graveside service will be at the Morris Cemetery, Nut Road in Phoenixville. So if you have any questions about either of those, I can ask Pastor Dave. All right, that's all I have for announcements. Obviously, look in your bulletin for church life and what's going on there. As I said, I think we can probably unofficially call today Service Sunday. And in trying to come up with some verses maybe to read that would apply to that to start our worship service, I Googled Bible verses about service. And many of you are familiar with our not too far distant newspaper. Many of you get Lancaster Farming. So our call to worship this morning is courtesy of a devotional in Lancaster Farming from 2021. Many people do not like to use the word servant today because of its connotation of inferiority. Rest assured, to be the Lord's servant is not to be one of lowly status, though. It is to be appointed by Jesus Christ to serve His will and His ways in order to live a better life, a life full of God's goodness and even surprises. I think today's going to be featuring a report from the trip of those who were serving in Puerto Rico. Yesterday, we were able to serve the community right here on our church property, which I think is fantastic. Look at that photo there, the great service team, and the bulletin right there. Looking forward to hearing from them. But a couple of verses, of course, to keep in mind in regard to what Christ said about servanthood from Mark chapter 10. In response to their disagreements, Jesus stated, "Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave or servant of all. For even the Son of Man, Jesus, did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give His life as a ransom for many." All right, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to come and worship together as a church family today. It's great to be together in a different setting than what we were in yesterday, with the opportunity we had yesterday to serve those in our community, to be ambassadors for you, to be ambassadors for Christ. We thank you for the blessings of wonderful weather for that. We thank you for the turnout. Many people got to come to the church grounds here and hopefully interact with the members of our congregation, and that we may have represented you well. We thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve you in the Spring City community and further abroad. We think of our missionaries. We also not only lift up them, but those who are serving you in Poland because of the Ukrainian, Russia things. We think of those who are serving. We pray for those each week and continue to lift them up. We think of the refugees. May your presence be felt. May the gifts and donations of those from this congregation reach to them into Eastern Europe, and may those donations be put to good work, to good use, to serve those who are in need. We think of those in our congregation who will be celebrating birthdays this week. Ask a special blessing on their special day and throughout this coming year. We think of Susan and Allie, Zion, Carl, and Peggy. Just bless them on their special day. Once again, lift up to you Gail and Beth and their girls. There will be changes and transition in their lives. May they seek your guidance. May the pathway for them be clear and be known to them. Just ask a special blessing upon our service today as we worship you and praise you through song and testimony. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And let's stand together and sing again. Amazing Grace, my chains are gone. I think we have the words up there now. So, Amazing Grace, my chains are gone.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear. And grace my dignity, how precious is that grace appeared the hour of mercy. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. I can be amazing grace. Oh Lord, our promise good to me. His word, my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be. As long as I can go, my chains are gone. I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Amazing grace, my chains are gone. I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Amazing grace. Your sin dissolved like snow. The sun will refuge shine. But God who called me here below will be forever mine. Will be forever mine. You are forever mine.
Father, we just thank you for your amazing grace. Thank you that you fill us with that which we need. And so we just look to you today as we come and worship you in the house of Vincent and just praise you and lift our hearts and minds towards you. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Do we have the soundtrack for this song?
Yes.
Technology issues would be for that. Tell you what we'll do, we'll go to the next one, and we'll get that figured out or not. We'll sing Revelation song, so if we can skip forward in the PowerPoint to that one. Okay.
Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Holy, 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 is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. A living color that is mighty, roll of thunder. Let's sing in honor, strength, glory, and power be the only I sing. Holy, 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 is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Awesome wonder at the mention of your name. Let the mountain and power and the living water, such a marvelous mystery. Holy, 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 is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Holy, 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 is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you.
Amen. You may be seated.
So I don't consider myself a pessimist, but this morning, everything that could go wrong technically has gone wrong. We had a great video, we had an audio track for another song, and our computer just completely died this morning. So we can't even get into it. So I don't even know if, as sad as it is this video possible? Do we have audio from that? No audio? No video? I'm seeing yes and then no. Is it video no-go? Can we stick a mic on it? Can we, just so, to be able to see what we did? I know it's hard to get the, if we can yank the audio cable from the computer and stick it into the laptop, that would be awesome. So, okay, well while we do that, why don't I invite the quarter for those of you that are maybe new here, for their guests, I definitely see some this morning, so welcome. Some of you I met yesterday, which is great. I look forward to meeting some more of you this morning. But a couple of weeks ago, we had a team from this church and others that are not part of this congregation normally, who went down to Puerto Rico, which is a place I've never been, and I was excited to get there. I haven't been involved in many other cultures lately, and so that was a great opportunity to see what God was doing somewhere so close, and yet in a very different culture. So this team here, plus a few others, we had 15 altogether, they gave up their time and money to be able to go down and to support the church in Costa Rica. And so that was our main sorry, I've been to Costa Rica, and it sounds so close, so if I say Costa Rica, it was most definitely Puerto Rico, at least they're in the Caribbean. So we went down to, we were able to support the church down there and a Christian school that was down there, Ibenito Mennonite Academy, and it was a great opportunity to be part of that. And I think we're going to hear as some people share this morning, we're going to see that it was a blessing to us to be there. There's a lot that we learned and a lot of ways that we were blessed. And as various people share that this morning, hopefully that comes through as well. And this is the point where I just keep talking so we can stall until we get the video up. But maybe we'll just flip it around this morning and we'll start with the individuals. So it is time for Children's Church. Children, we really wanted you guys to be able to see the video. But we're going to release you out to Children's Church now, so we'll let all of our kids head out. And then we'll start this morning. There's a few people who have volunteered to speak and share specific things about what had happened there. So I'm going to need to blare this now. Oh. I can't come back there. Sorry.
Well, we need you to.
Oh my goodness, this is fun, Lord. Just do whatever you want this morning. I'll be right back.
So, as Dave mentioned, we had 15 persons, and this trip was only 3 of the team had been in Puerto Rico before, and several are prepared to share. Harold is one of the 3, and I think we'll let you go off with what you have thoughts from the week. I try to get everybody prepared that Puerto Rico is a different culture. And we're used to things being very structured, and we watch our clocks, we watch our phones, we try to keep to schedules, most of us, and that's not necessarily the culture in Puerto Rico. And also other places here in the contiguous lower 48 is not necessarily always the case. So, Harold, let me start. Since you're an old pro in Puerto Rico.
Well, the old pro means I was in Puerto Rico. I was the 3rd person besides Stephen Mary, who was there 4 years ago in one of our previous trips. I'm going to talk a little bit about the people that we met, people we worked with when we were there. Some of you have been to Puerto Rico in previous trips, so you'll recognize those people. Pastor Jose is somebody that he and his wife Lynette have been here 4 or 5 years ago. So all of you, or most of you, may have met him and that, or maybe remember them. He's the main contact we have that we coordinate these trips with. He and Lynette, his wife. Just a little update on them. They had always, in the past, lived in a parsonage right on the campus of the school we stay at. He was a pastor of Batavia Mennonite Church, which is less than 100 yards from the place we stay. And we had always attended that church in the past when we were there on Sunday. This time is different. He and Lynette and their 2 children moved to their home, Fata, which is about a half-hour drive away. They have a business there, a sign and banner making business. And he is no longer just the pastor of that one church, but he's the overseer of about a dozen or 13 churches, Mennonite churches in the conference in Puerto Rico. So he has greater responsibility that way. We were at his house at one point in the week, saw their business again, and talked with him some last time I was down, and again this time. One of the things I can always bring back from speaking with them is their resilience, their ability to press on in spite of hardship. There was a major hurricane in 2017 that really devastated the island. The area we stayed was without electricity for about 7 months after that hurricane, just to give you an idea how devastated it was. The last time we were down, we saw a lot of homes that were abandoned or didn't have roofs and that kind of thing. Thankfully, most of those homes seem to have been fixed up, and things were pretty well repaired this time, 4 years later. But his business was affected a lot by that hurricane. He had one that was farm business, and then it's been affected and still is being affected by the pandemic. So their businesses, some businesses thrived since the pandemic, but their business has really been affected. So they're struggling, but the thing that is an inspiration to me is their willingness to just put their faith in God, to keep pressing on. They don't know what next month will bring for them, business-wise, financially, but they just keep pressing on and keep doing the Lord's work throughout the island now that he has greater responsibility. Others, those of you who have been down before, might remember Juan Carlos. He's the one that has a farm. He's actually my next brother. The farm is right next to the house that Jose and his wife live in. And I think those of you who have been down there, most of you have been to that farm. It's primarily a poultry farm, but he has all kinds of animals, cattle and pigs and horses. And we had a great time there. He's also a very busy man. He's the pastor of the church that we attended this time in the Church, which is about a half-hour drive west of the school we stayed at. He's very busy. He's also the MDS coordinator for Puerto Rico, and the Mennonite churches down there are doing service work in the Dominican Republic, just like we do service work in Puerto Rico. They're very active. So they're doing well. The farm is recovered pretty well from the hurricane. Still in the process of recovery, but it's come a long way since 4 years ago. And Tony, some of you might remember Tony, the principal of the school. Last time I was down, we were down 4 years ago. We just met him as he was coming back for a third term as principal of the school, and this is beginning his 5th year now. He's doing well. But all in all, I'll just say about the people there that they went out of their way to make us feel welcome. They're an inspiration to us. Others here will share about their worship and their spirit of serving God in spite of adversity and their dedication to outreach. People we met along the way, others, the servers, the vendors, the guide on our kayaking trip, all the people we met along the way, really great people. And as Steve said, it's a culture that's different. I think we can learn from it. I think sometimes we take our rigid schedules so seriously that it can hinder the freedom that God may have for us. And I come away feeling a little bit of that. Just want to briefly say some things about the work that we did. Our primary purpose to go down there was to help get the school ready and do other work that was needed. And we spent most of our weekdays doing that. We did quite a bit of painting. We painted inside of 5 classrooms. We didn't do any outside painting at the school this year. We did paint 2 different homes of members of the church that Juan Carlos is the pastor of. We replaced the window. We got all the computers in the computer lab up and running and antivirus installed and ready to go for the year. Replaced some toilet seats. We replaced some crank handles and windows. We attached a problem in the driveway with an asphalt patch. We went up on the roof of one of the buildings and cleaned out the rain gutter. There were plants about 3 feet high going down the rain gutter to clean that out. And I'm sure there's some other things. I know Kelly and Kiki went to spend a day going down to Pastor Jose with that business and made some banners for the Influences Foundations. Used here that they brought back. So we did get a lot of work done and enjoyed that. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Harold. Yeah, I appreciate that. Since we're just talking about that, Kelly and Kiki, would you mind coming forward? I don't know how many of you have met Kelly and Kiki so far, but you need to. These are two of our local ministry partners. Their office is right up here in the church house. And they run the Anne Francis Foundation, which is just doing some great work with people who are food insecure and housing insecure. So they're ministry partners with us, and they came along down with us. And I didn't realize there was a connection with you and Juan Carlos or Jose or the group. So I'm going to learn a little something, I think, this morning too. So Kelly, if you would let us know a little bit about that, I appreciate it.
So I learned about the initiative with Puerto Rico through Steve. Steve and I are friends, and we would talk about our mission work that we do. And this time around, he was telling me about Pastor Jose and that him and his wife had a printing business. Of course, I was very excited to meet them and to get to see, their business and what they do versus how we do it here and things like that. So I was very interested in learning about, their business. However, when we got there, I had an opportunity to sit down with Pastor Jose, and he said, look, I've learned and heard a whole lot about, the foundation, but I want to learn more. Me and my wife have absolutely fell in love with what you guys were doing and with what Steve had told us. But tell me more. So we had an opportunity to sit down and talk about the foundation. And he immediately said, we want to be involved. We want to help. Me and my wife had fell in love with, the foundation and everything Steve had told us about, the foundation. So, which was wonderful. They gave us a tour of the entire printing shop, showed us, everything that they can do. They can do more than just printing. They can do shirts and they do stickers and, all kinds of stuff. So while we were there, they had made us 3 banners. One that we've already used yesterday, and one we will use at our fundraiser dinner in October. But the unique thing, what I learned with talking with Pastor Jose, is that the relationship that your Vincent has with Pastor Jose, not just his church, but all the churches in the community, which is absolutely amazing. He adores the relationship that he has with Vincent. He adores the relationship that he has with Steve. And he holds it close to his heart. And so that is one of the things that I brought back with me. And I thought it was just so special. So knowing that, when you send a mission team to Puerto Rico, that they appreciate, they love you guys, and that, the work that you're doing there means so much to them. So that's what I have to say this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great relationship. I mean, when they had a printing business, I was thinking, paper, maybe T-shirts, things like that. They print the big light-up signs that are out in front of stores, and so it's a pretty big operation. But because of the economic downturn and because of the natural disasters that they faced in the last couple of years, it's really shaking the economy there too. So their generosity comes out of a place not of massive overload, but they're whittling down through their savings just to keep their employees employed. And so they are really have a heart for the people, and I can see why they really were connected with you guys as well. So keep them in prayer. We'll hear a little bit more about them, the pastors, in a little while as well. Kelsey, why don't you come out from the corner there and share a little bit about what you have.
Okay. So I could share a lot. I think I learned something each day, each moment of each day when we were there, but I'm going to narrow it down. So I'm going to share a little bit about the church service we attended on Sunday morning. So we got into Puerto Rico Friday night, and then Sunday morning we went to Iglesia Menonita Palo Hincado. I think I said that right. And it's a different church than our group has attended in the past. That's my understanding. So this church, the pastor there is Juan Carlos, and his sister is Lynette, who's married to Pastor Jose, who we've been talking about. So going to the church, it was up in the mountains, beautiful view, and then the service was definitely an experience. I think it really spoke to a lot of us in different ways. It was pretty much all in Spanish, except Lynette, I think kind of spur of the moment, got up and translated the sermon for us. So that was really interesting. Juan Carlos would say a few sentences, and then she'd translate. And sometimes she wouldn't quite get it right, and there was a lot of laughter too. It was a not like relaxed setting, very fun setting. But his sermon, I think, spoke to a lot of us. He spoke on Hebrews 4, verses 12 through 13, about the word of the Lord being active and alive. And I just think, I know it stirred in me, it really spoke to me, and I think a lot of us too. And that theme kind of like continued through the week. A few of us had morning devotions, and it just seemed like a lot of us were talking about the word of the Lord and being in the word and prayer. And it was just a really spiritually growing week for myself as well. And then singing there at the church was a lot of fun. It was, again, all in Spanish, except the last song. I think they did some English for us. But a lot of the women, a lot of people just in the pews even had tambourines. And up front, there was a lot of kids playing different instruments up front. So it was really just a lot of joyful noise being made. And it was really a lot of fun. It was really special. I enjoyed it. And then they were very generous to us. Afterwards, they gave us a lunch. Because then from the church we went and did a little exploring that day and swimming. So they were very hospitable, and it was nice to talk to some people that I could. I used a little bit of my Spanish. Some of them knew English. So it was just fun to meet some of them and talk a little bit. And so yeah, the church service was an awesome experience and a great way to start off the week, Sunday morning. And then I'm also going to share about, as Harold mentioned, we did a little work off campus this time too. There was 2 ladies that needed their houses painted, and my understanding is they both attend this church where we went Sunday morning. So Monday and Thursday, we sent a crew of a few people off campus to go paint these houses, and I was lucky enough to go on both of those teams, and that was really fun, really special. It was a unique experience to get some time away from the school and just meet other people. And the woman we painted for on Monday, her name was Carmen, and she's a single mom with 2 daughters, and we met her daughter Lydia was there all day too. And I enjoyed that because, again, they didn't speak any English, so I used my little bit of Spanish to learn. Like, Lydia's 20, she's in college studying criminal justice, and we got to ask Carmen a few simple questions about her daughters and how old they are and what she does. She's a nurse. And what was really unexpected is she made us a home-cooked meal for lunch, and it was amazing. We had packed sandwiches. We did not need those. She fed us chicken, rice, fried plantains, other vegetables. It was really delicious and amazing. And yeah, that was just a fun experience. We painted our house bright orange on the front, and then the sides were gray and some green up top. So a lot of their homes are really brightly colored. It's gorgeous. I wish we would see more of that around here. But so that was Monday. We met Carmen and Lydia, and then on Thursday we went to this lady's house. Maria is her name. She's an older lady. She lives alone. Part of our team actually was there Monday power washing her house first, and then we went back to paint it. And that was Drake and John, his grandson. They met Maria's grandkids. They were there that day hanging out with Grandma, and they knew some English, so I think you guys were able to talk. to them. But she also fed us well both days. She was this really sweet lady, and we painted her house bright pink, like very bright pink. So that was a lot of fun. They, I think, just loved meeting us as much as we loved meeting them. And another big takeaway I had from the week, at one point, Pastor Jose was talking to some of us, or maybe it was just me, but he said about what we have, we share. He said that phrase, what we have, we share. And that stuck with me all week, and I've been trying to bring that back here. As Harold said, you come back and you realize there's some things just about the way, how fast we live our lives. And so those ladies definitely exemplified that as well. They shared what they had with us. We were sharing our time with them and our ability to paint. So, yeah, I brought that back with me.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, I think that was probably the loudest church service I've ever been to. It was intense and it was great. The music was great, the speaking was great. Very, a lot of passion and energy there as well. So yeah, I'd like to just share a couple stories myself. One started with a phone call from the North Coventry Police Department. That's just what you want to get when you're in, far away from home. So I did. While we were down in Puerto Rico, I got a call from North Coventry Police Department. Like, Mr. Mansfield, are you at home this evening? No, I'm not. Are you in Puerto Rico? I'm like, yes, I am. And this was Tuesday night, so we'd already been there since Friday. And we were down in the village where we were at the church. And so I said, no, is there a problem? And they're like, well, there's a gentleman here who's not here. There's a gentleman who called from Puerto Rico. He's English is okay. I think I understood he's saying that he found your wallet. Did you know your wallet's missing? I'm like, well, I do now. But I had no idea that my wallet had been missing for like 3 days because I didn't need it. I didn't need to use it. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, great. So she's like, well, we'll get in touch with you and we'll figure it out. And I think the English should be good enough to figure it out. And so we found out that on our way from San Juan down to where we were staying, is that when it was? When we stopped at that lookout point? Or you can see the Caribbean. Yeah. So it was Sunday. Yeah, so Sunday. It's been missing since Sunday. I had no idea. So it's just amazing. It just happened to be. So we stopped on our way back. We stopped at this lookout point where you could, theoretically, on a good day, you could see the Caribbean on one side and the Atlantic on the other side. Did I get that right? Yeah, to make sure I'm in the right country here. And it was too dusty, we couldn't really see it, but somehow at that point, I don't know what happened. Apparently I lost my wallet there in Puerto Rico, middle of the country, middle of nowhere, never been there before, middle of the island. And I get a call from our police department, where we live, saying that this gentleman had found his grandson had just happened to be there when we were, picked it up, took it down. So it's not that far in miles between these two places, but it takes like an hour and a half to get there. Yeah, about an hour and a half to get there. He said, well, he's got it. Oh, great. He found it in San Juan, and now I got to go all the way up. It's an hour and a half away. How are we going to get up there? And it's going to ruin the jobs. We're here to work and build relationships. I don't want to have to take a day to drive up to the city. He's like, well, no, actually, he lives in Ivanito, which is the city, the town that we were in. And he's like, oh yeah, his grandson just happened to be there, and he's coming down to visit his grandson or son? His son, and he was coming down to visit tomorrow. So he was actually coming down to the town that we were, and was just going to bring my wallet along with me. And so I finally got in touch with this gentleman. He's a believer. He's a friend of Pastor Jose's, right? Like, of course, right? On the entire island. You have to be a friend of Pastor Jose's, and he's got your wallet, and we'll bring it down. So at that point, it was for me at least, it was really a blessing to say that God is still moving. He's watching out for the little things. And it really helped to encourage me with there was some, kind of, sometimes where you're just like, okay, God, you're really out there, you're really paying attention, and that was just really helpful reminder to that. So this guy who lived in San Juan, happened to be at the same lookout point that we were, about the same time that we were, happened to be a believer, an honest person, found my wallet, happened to be driving down to the town that we were staying in, and was able to bring it down with him. So there's a picture of that in there. He runs a bike shop, I love a bike. So we were able to meet him on one of the days as we were driving through that part of town, and they were just very happy to turn my wallet over. So, you know, it's just this thing where it's like just a little bit of like, God's like, yeah, I'm still watching. So that was really cool. But one thing that you've heard, and I want you to see as we got the video up, thank you, tech team, because you're busy. As you see the video, watch each of the scenes, watch the people that are there and the faces that are there, and the work that's being done that's happening, because this is the church, right? We are the church here this morning. That's the church down there. We get to go and we get to mix up with some of our other brothers and sisters. We had some very skilled people. Harold was able to install a window, which I don't think any of us would have been able to pull that out. He had to chip away some of the concrete to fit it and then get the window in there and install that. And so there's some technical skills, and I know some of you that have gone down before have done some very technical things that I could never pull off. My kids are very technically minded, which is why they're able to do what they're doing this morning on our tech team. They refurbished the computer lab at the school. They do that, but then there's a lot of things that just can be done by people without maybe the specific skills. So there's great need for people with specific skills, but also for those of us that can just go and lend a hand. We did a lot of painting. We did some, there was cooking to be done for the team, but it was building a lot of relationship as well to bless this school. And I want you to see, you can see, if you're just looking at the photo there, you can see we had Tim who was 10, right? 10? 11, sorry. Tim who's 11, and then on up to the members that you see here on the stage. So there is a room, there's a place for you. If you have specific skills, they can be used. If you don't, God can still use you. And it's an opportunity to see a broader church, to see the church at work. Tim was just gung-ho to mow and to do any landscaping that we could, so we tried to get some landscaping for him. He was just on fire, ready to cut anything down, and grow and just get out there with a weed whacker and a mower. And John was in the kitchen and was cooking, and he really has a gift with food and was just able to help with the shopping and the cooking and the painting and everything else. My guys were in the tech lab, so the young people, you're not too young to go. There's a place for them as well. There's a place for them to help and to serve, and our young people did serve really well. But one thing I want to keep in mind too, and I want us to keep this in our heart as well, as this connection that they have with Anne Francis, but also now that we have this connection in Puerto Rico, what is our part? It's nice to go down. We spend a week there, maybe every year, maybe every couple of years. It's been a little more sparse lately. But what is our relationship now? How do we serve them? They're serving. They're taking an MDS team to help with the flooding in West Virginia. They're serving, they're pouring out. They're in the Dominican, as Steve said earlier. They're doing the work too. The pastors that they have there, their stipend is about $200 or $300 a month. Now that goes a little farther than it does up here in the States, but not a lot. And these guys are just pouring out of their lives, out of their time, out of their savings, just to keep the church moving down there. And they have a goal of church planting and expanding the kingdom. And try doing that on $200 or $300 a month is tough. So can we get on board with that? Can we send other teams down there to support them, to encourage them, to rebuild, to take some time to understand the culture that God is building there, and also to be part of a church planting team on that island? So I really want to encourage us to consider how can we help with time, with trips, with money, with inviting them up here so we can hear what God's doing through them as well. We had Pastor Jose and Lynette here about 4 years ago. And that was probably one of the loudest church services we've had in this building, and very energetic and exciting. So let's take the time to really learn and invest in what God's doing around. So if you would go ahead and roll that video to sharing, you can go ahead and have a seat, and I'll just wrap up when this is over. we went, you can see we went with different people, different ages, different backgrounds, different skills. And I remember this, it reminded me of when Jesus sent out his disciples. He didn't send out a bunch of highly educated, highly skilled people. Those people are extremely valuable in the kingdom as well. He sent out a group of locals, a group of fishermen, a group, a tax collector, and some crazy zealots in the middle of all this. And he sent out this random group of people. When he first started, he sends out the 12. And he gives them the authority to drive out impure spirits and heal diseases and sickness, and then he names the apostles. And he tells them where to go, and he tells them what to do. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those with leprosy, drive out the demons. Freely you have received, freely give. And as he goes, he says, don't get any gold or silver or copper to take with you for your journey. No bag for the journey, no extra shirt, no sandals, no staff. The worker is worth his keep. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some worthy person and stay at their house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. And so I just think of that as we go down. I'm not an expert painter by any means. I found things to do down there. We had very skilled people. We had people who were just willing to go and to take a helping hand and serve the kingdom. And so I want to encourage each of you, these opportunities come up. Unfortunately, we did have another trip canceled this summer because of COVID, and that was really sad. That was really a lot of our younger people heading on that one. So that was disappointing. But when these opportunities come, please take the opportunity to go. Please take the opportunity to experience another part of the country, another part of the world, another culture that God is moving in. And maybe we learn a little bit more about what God's doing in His kingdom, because the kingdom of God is here. The kingdom of God is much more and much bigger than this. And to see what He's doing, to be able to give, and if we're humble enough to receive, will transform our lives and transform the kingdom of God as He continues to. And so as a Puerto Rico team, we want to say thank you very much to all of you who invested time and money and prayers in sending us down there. We very much appreciated it. Steve did a great job of organizing and planning the whole thing, and I would love his love for the community down there and making these things happen. He pressed through when the airlines didn't want to let us take our baggage on board, and he wrestled in there and got things done, and God went before us in all kinds of crazy things, from baggage to losing wallets to whatever it was. God was there. And so I encourage you, step out this week in your workplace, step out this week in your family, and watch God meet you there when you do something new. Step out next time one of these trips come forward. We're going to find a way, hopefully, to take more than just 15 next time. That was our limitation. We could only fit 15 this time. But go into all the world, make disciples of all nations, and let those nations, the kingdom of God is, make disciples of you as well. So let's take time to pray. Commit this time to God. And thank you again for joining and supporting us. Father God, your kingdom is alive. Your kingdom is expanding. Your kingdom will not fail. You remind us that the gates of hell will not prevail against your kingdom as you send it forth, Lord. May we go forth. May we not be the limiting factor in your kingdom moving forward. May we be generous with our time. May we be generous with our money. May we be generous with our fear of new experiences, our fear of travel in new places. But God, may we also be diligent in the day-to-day work of your kingdom right in front of us. Father, may we be the sent ones. May we recognize that we are the sent ones. And continue to go. Let you do your work in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So let's stand together, sing our closing poem. Take my life, take my heart and form it, take my mind, transform it, take my will, conform it to you and yours alone. So let's sing together.
Oh yes, I long is what I need. Holiness, holiness is what you want from me. Faithfulness, faithfulness is what I long for. Faithfulness is what I need. Faithfulness, faithfulness is what you want from me. So take my heart and form it. Take my life and form it. Take my will and form it. Righteousness, righteousness is what I long for. Righteousness is what I need. Righteousness, righteousness is what you want from me. So take my heart and form it. Take my life and form it. Take my
This morning, go with the gifts that God has placed in you. Go with a passion to serve and a desire to learn. Go and be the kingdom.